Fire drills are meant to save lives.
We send them to school. We expect for them to be safe.
But the NBC10 investigators found our schools failing to teach kids how to escape.
Why haven't schools been following the fire code?
When seconds count.
First floor is all clear.
Your child needs to know what to do.
An NBC10 investigation tonight exposes a problem with fire drills in Philly schools.
The investigators found schools ignoring the fire code and the district's own policy. Now, investigative reporter Mitch Blocker's findings have the superintendent promising a change.
Looking both ways. Don't just walk because you're walking with me.
Brenda Mabane has high expectations for her grandkids.
It's not supposed to be 88%. It's supposed to be 100%.
If a B isn't good enough for her, imagine what she'll say when she sees the grades Philly schools get on fire drills. Philadelphia Fire Code clearly says schools should do monthly drills, one for every month schools in session, 10 total. It's a standard set by the National Fire Protection Association. Robert Solomon is with the NFPA.
This is one of the most important things that you can do for the students and the faculty.
Through a public records request, we received, reviewed, and tracked Philadelphia school fire drill logs. 171 out of 218 schools responded, and it became clear most schools aren't doing or documenting 10 drills per school year. According to logs we analyzed, last year the school district got an F. Less than 15% of its schools whose fire drill logs we reviewed followed the fire code and reported 10 drills. Some, like Fox Chase School and Gompers Elementary, reported doing just 2 fire drills. Others, like Thomas Edison High School, reported 3.
You're hearing some schools are only doing that twice a year. I would have a hard time believing that the school administrators, the school staff, the faculty, and the students are going to be that well versed that this is really going to be a second nature thing.
When we showed Superintendent William Height what his own records show, he had no idea.
Why haven't schools been following the fire code?
Yeah, we're trying to find out that as well. There's a code in place. The code is there for a reason. It is to keep children safe.
We also found schools recording drills on days classes were not in session, including a Saturday, Christmas Eve, and during the Pope's visit last September.
Did those drills actually happen?
We don't have schools, and children aren't in schools on weekends and holidays.
So why would they document having a fire drill then?
I'd have to ask that question.
Since our investigation, the superintendent sent principals this memo reminding them you are responsible for holding the required drills and for making sure your fire drill log is up to date.
We're going to hold people accountable to this.
Brenda Mabane expects it, especially when we told her grandkids' school reported having just 4 fire drills last year.
Superintendent, you need to dust off some things and follow the guidelines.
Now, we've already found problems with fire drills from this school year. Some of the schools that we looked at did not follow the district's policy of having 2 drills during the first 10 days of school. Now, we will be checking back on the district to see if its grades improve. And if you want to see how your kid's school performed, go to our website, NBC10.com. There we have an interactive map of how many fire drills each Philadelphia school did over the last 2.5 years. For the investigators, I'm Mitch Blocker, NBC10 News.
Your NBC10 investigators exposed Philly schools failing to do enough fire drills.
We're going to hold people accountable to this.
Before we told them, school officials had no idea. But city records reveal someone did.
You know they're not doing 10 drills in every school.
Yes, we know they're not doing 10 drills in every school.
Now, why one of Philly's safety agencies didn't raise the red flag.
That's what makes it even worse, when something is known and then still not handled properly.
So our investigation continues into why Philly schools aren't following the fire code.
The NBC10 investigators found city building inspectors documented the problem time after time, but the problem wasn't fixed. Here's investigative reporter Mitch Blocker.
It's 3 o'clock outside Gompers Elementary School.
Should be out soon.
Brandy Holloway waits for her niece. She has no idea the school only reported doing 2 fire drills last year.
Definitely not enough. We need to do more.
The NBC10 investigators uncovered less than 15% of all Philly schools followed the fire code and reported doing 10 fire drills.
No, I did not know that.
Superintendent William Height only found out when we crunched the numbers and told him. But building inspection records show someone besides the NBC10 investigators knew schools failed to follow the fire code. Checking school fire drill logs is on the Department of Licenses and Inspections School Inspection Checklist.
What we found time and time again in their inspection reports is that they passed schools that didn't do enough fire drills.
Unfortunately, I'm not surprised, but, something has to be done.
L&I Deputy Commissioner Ralph DiPetrio looked through dozens of his office's school inspection reports with us. They show L&I documenting some schools needing additional emergency evacuation drills and schools that lack a fire safety and evacuation plan. In the records we surveyed, each school passed L&I's inspection. The Deputy Commissioner wouldn't answer questions on camera. Instead, L&I Communications Director Karen Guss, who has never inspected a school, spoke for him.
How does a school get a passing grade when they're not doing enough fire drills?
Fire drills are one of the requirements that the schools are expected to meet. However, there's a long list of requirements.
Gus told us L&I may be the city watchdog for building safety, but it's not the city agency's job to make the state-run schools do fire drills.
We are not able to instruct the school district what to do at that level.
You can't tell them to do 10 fire drills.
We can tell them that, of course, we can tell them the statutory requirement is 10. You need to make sure there's 10.
She said L&I leaders will bring it up the next time they meet with school officials.
This issue will be very high on the agenda when we meet with the department. I don't want to have to sit here with you and have this conversation again next year.
She may not have to. Since our investigation, the superintendent sent principals this memo reminding them you are responsible for holding the required drills and for making sure your fire drill log is up to date. The principal here told us he got the memo.
Hi, how was your day?
Holloway wants her niece to do all 10 drills and for the district and L&I to make sure that happens.
I hope that they do what they're supposed to do.
A Philly school spokesman says that the district sees small fires in schools at least once a week. Last year, Benjamin Franklin High School had to be evacuated twice because of fire. The National Fire Protection Association says schools that do fire drills have a higher safety record. To see an interactive map of how many fire drills Philadelphia schools did over the last 3 years, go to NBC10.com.
Your NBC10 investigators exposed Philly schools failing to follow the fire code.
I take full responsibility for anything that goes on in my building.
Now one principal invites us inside his elementary school.
Why only 2 fire drills last year?
To explain why he says his kids are ready if there's an emergency.
Unfortunately, it didn't appear that we were compliant last year, but we're still going to be very transparent.
Well, since the NBC10 investigators revealed just 15% of Philly schools follow the fire code, Superintendent Height has promised to hold principals accountable.
And after our story aired, one principal was eager to prove his school was safe, so he invited investigative reporter Mitch Blocker to this morning's fire drill.
When the alarm sounds at Fox Chase Elementary, Robert Caraselli says his kids know what to do.
You guys were awesome. That was amazing.
The principal invited us inside after the NBC10 investigators revealed his school documented just 2 fire drills last year. Philly Fire Code says schools have to do 10.
It is my job to keep my kids and my staff safe, absolutely, and I take full responsibility for that. Unfortunately, the number does not reflect what we did do.
Fox Chase Elementary is just one of 94 schools we analyzed that failed to follow the fire code last year, according to records provided by the Philadelphia School District.
This is one of the most important things that you can do for the students and the faculty.
We showed the National Fire Protection Association's Robert Solomon what Philly schools documented. He isn't surprised. Since our investigation, parents have asked their principals about fire drills.
Those are legitimate questions for them to be asking. Why wasn't it done?
Did a great job.
Principal Caraselli told us his kids practiced more drills than he documented.
How many fire drills did you do last year?
I would say probably 7 to 8.
How do you know?
It's not documented, you're right.
He showed us his school's fire drill log. It goes back to 1971 and confirms the information the district provided. Fox Chase Elementary only documented 2 official fire drills last year.
If you're good enough to document and keep your record since 1971, why can't you write down every time you do a fire drill?
Well, I wasn't here since 1971, but I can honestly tell you that, like I said, when you're juggling 10 different things, then maybe the documenting that fire drill wasn't done. Maybe it was a clerical error. You know, it wasn't there.
The drill we documented today was quiet, orderly, and quick. Philly firefighters timed it. It took 2 minutes to evacuate the school. The log shows this is the 7th drill this year, with 4 weeks left of school.
It would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There will be 8 done.
So it's too short.
Too short, yes.
Are you going to make an effort to do 10?
Well, to do the 10 would be compliant, but it's 1 a month. So, you know, in my opinion, then just doing that would just be to do the compliance issue. If I'm told to do that, yeah, absolutely.
Now, Principal Caraselli says he has now assigned someone to specifically document when a fire drill happens. He says resources are an issue, and to do a fire drill, you need a certain number of staff. Depending on the day or the budget, a principal may or may not have enough.
Reporter Mitch Blocker has proof the district told the state the drills were done when they weren't.
I have certified that we're in compliance when we were clearly not in compliance.
Superintendent William Hite didn't try to hide his mistake. We found his signatures are all over these state certifications.
I called the Department of Education myself to report that I had been sending them information about being in compliance when we clearly were not.
For the past 3 school years, he's told the State Department of Education every one of his schools performed all required fire drills, 1 per month while school's in session. State law requires superintendents to certify the drills happened.
After your report, obviously, we were not in compliance.
Our original reports revealed the reality that few Philadelphia public schools did the 10 fire drills each year as required by law. We also exposed city building inspectors documenting schools needing additional emergency evacuation drills. In the records we surveyed, each school passed its inspection, even some that lack a fire safety and evacuation plan. These signed certifications are now the 3rd example of a government agency missing what we found. This time, it's the Department of Education.
Why isn't the Department of Education making sure that these certifications are accurate?
I think because the Department of Education is vastly underfunded and understaffed.
State Representative James Roebuck represents West Philly and is the minority chairman of the House Education Committee.
What are you going to do about this?
I certainly am going to talk to the secretary and to the department and see if we can get a higher level of urgency.
To do that, he'll have to get more interest from the State Department of Education than we did. The secretary refused to talk about emergency drill oversight, the department saying in a statement that it relies on schools to submit accurate information in a timely manner and is continuing to monitor the situation.
The department's statement goes on to say that it can't comment further because local law enforcement may have been contacted. A department spokesperson says this may be a matter for the AG or the district attorney to investigate. Here at the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office, no one would confirm whether they are investigating this. Superintendent Hite told us that so far, the district has not been contacted by law enforcement.
There's so many potential checkpoints on this that should have caught this that didn't, and it's got to be fixed.
Pennsylvania's Auditor General says he's now investigating the accuracy of school safety certifications.
The fact that they're not doing that, whether it's certified, whether they're signing these papers or not, the fact that they're not doing it, that's a major problem, and that risks the health and safety of the kids and the employees of the district.
I don't have the time and ability to go through 223 schools and check those logs myself.
Superintendent Hite told us he relies on his staff to vet and verify the sometimes hundreds of documents that cross his desk in a given day, including the person who was supposed to check the fire drill logs.
That individual is no longer with the district, and we
They get fired for this?
We are re-advertising. Well, they were just no longer with the district.
The district has posted a job opening for a new fire and safety operations officer, one of several changes Philly schools are making because of our investigation.
The school district says it is making sweeping changes to its fire drill procedures for the upcoming school year. The School Reform Commission is supposed to vote on a new plan this week.
Now to an update on an NBC10 investigation into how Philadelphia schools have been failing at fire drills. On Thursday, the School Reform Commission approved new regulations on how Philly schools conduct and document fire drills. It comes after the NBC10 investigators exposed the district was not conducting all the required drills for at least 3 years.
Through your investigation, individuals were not completing those drills, and so it was really important for us to look at that process.
Some of the changes include electronic reporting to the district office and hiring someone to ensure schools follow the new policies.
Is kindergarten accounted for?
An alert for parents across Pennsylvania.
Is first grade accounted for?
They put our children's lives and the teachers' lives in danger.
School districts around our area failing at fire drills.
Why didn't your school district do all of its fire drills?
That's a good question.
Now, based on our reporting, action taken meant to fix the failure.
First, your NBC10 investigators found it in Philly, now across our region. Superintendent saying they performed all fire drills when their own records show they haven't.
Investigative reporter Mitch Blocker continues exposing Pennsylvania schools that are failing at fire drills.
This is how it's supposed to work.
Right out the end door, Mrs. Green.
Bethlehem's Hanover Elementary empties in 1 minute and 17 seconds.
Okay, Hanover.
But across Bethlehem last year, 20 of the district's 22 schools didn't follow state law and document a fire drill every month.
Why didn't your school district do all of its fire drills?
Yeah. So there's really not a good answer for that.
Superintendent Joe Roy says since the NBC10 investigators uncovered the lack of drills, he's now getting monthly reports about each school's fire drills.
It's fixed. I mean, it's fixed.
But he's not the only one facing these questions.
Irresponsible.
In Easton, Susan Eagle wanted to know why her grandson's school had a fire alarm marked out of order. She didn't realize 6 of the district's 10 schools did not record enough fire drills.
I'm disappointed in the fact that it even happened in my school district.
The principals were admonished for that.
Superintendent John Reinhardt told us all of his school's fire alarms now work. He's put the district's police chief in charge of making sure the fire drills get done. In Coatesville, none of the district's 10 schools documented enough fire drills. The district's own records show East Fallowfield Elementary did just 1 fire drill last year, while Coatesville Senior High School failed to record any drills.
In the past, they have not been required to send a form to the district office.
Superintendent Kathy Tashner said her district did drills, they just didn't always write it down.
So it's a word-of-mouth process.
That's correct.
How do you know that they're doing enough drills if you're not documenting it?
Well, and that's the point. You know, I sign a form based on the data I have at the time.
All Pennsylvania superintendents must certify to the Department of Education that their districts did all required fire drills. In Coatesville, Superintendent Tashner signed the certification. Superintendent Roy signed it in Bethlehem, and so did Superintendent Reinhardt in Easton. But notice the date on all 3. They all signed it in March, before the school year was over.
How can you certify you did all your drills when the school year is not complete?
Right. So essentially, every verification form that's sent in is not accurate.
This is that form that all superintendents in the state have to sign and send to the Department of Education, certifying that they did in fact do all of their required fire drills. You would think that once it gets to Harrisburg, someone would check to make sure it's accurate.
No, we don't have an individual that does that.
Pedro Rivera is Pennsylvania's Secretary of Education.
Are you equipped to be able to monitor this?
So I think this is a great opportunity to kind of revisit the fact that we have to do a better job of using technology.
After seeing what the NBC10 investigators uncovered, he promises sweeping changes, including having districts report all fire drills electronically and posting them publicly online. Rivera says this will allow the department to better track the drills and let parents see what their district is doing. He's also pushing back the filing date so superintendents can certify after the school year is actually over.
Credit is absolutely due to you. You definitely brought it to light.
For the investigators,
Is the rest of 4th grade accounted for?
I'm Mitch Blocker, NBC 10 News.